Abie Isaacs is the chairperson of the Cape Flats Safety Forum. He joins us now live. Mr. Isaacs, a very good evening to you. Thanks for joining us. Welcome.
Good evening to you and your viewers.
You know, Mr. Isaacs, what's happening is really concerning, as now we're getting reports of another mass shooting in Barcelona informal settlement. In fact, I'm reading a tweet right now of 5 persons shot, 2 code blue, 3 code red. And the tweet goes on to say that an adult male and female were shot in Tatum Road in Hosley Court Retreat. The male died on the scene while the female was left critically injured. What have you heard about these latest developments?
Once again, as I've said to your colleague now, I just saw the message coming in via the social media. As the Cape Flats Safety Forum, we are clearly concerned of what's happening in and around the Cape Flats, and specifically the Cape Town. We have consistently been saying that the Cape is under siege. Based on that, we've noted that shooting has again flared up in certain areas, and one does not want to zoom in specific areas. You know, the week before it was Mitchell's Plain. Now, last week it is Kraaifontein. Now you can pick up it's in Barcelona. So clearly for us, there seems to be no preventative plan to deal with what we call gun violence. Hence, from our side as the Cape Flats Safety Forum, we've persistently been calling that, and we'll continue. Maybe one day somebody would wake up of leadership where we and start taking us as an organization or as community members, representatives serious. We're calling for a special probe into this gun violence so that we will be able to see who is arming what gang or who's arming a particular group. We are now to the extent where we are asking ourselves, is there a possibility of a sinister force operating in and around Cape Town to destabilize the Western Cape?
I mean, just considering that the death toll in Kraaifontein has climbed to 14 in just 1 week, I mean, it really is getting out of control. But from your vantage point, what does this spike in violent crime tell us about the state of public safety in this community? Is what we are seeing on the ground an escalation of an already volatile situation, or does this represent a new phase in violence on the Cape Flats?
Correct, as we've said, there is an escalation and we need to acknowledge it. I think the minister was just here in the week, last week, Tuesday in particular. We have consistently been saying that there seems to be no political will. Alternatively, there's no plan to deal with what we call urban terror. Let's put it correctly. That's the terminology that we used, or genocide in the absence of the correct word. There seems to be no political will. We do acknowledge that the minister and the premier and some politicians have met on Thursday, I think, to look at the MO, to relook at the MOA. Remember, just last year, August, there was the MOA signed between the 3 spheres of government. From what we said, that the MOA has not been working. Yes, we have deployment of police, but it's more reactive than being proactive. And that's our concern. And that we've raised in particular with the minister when he was here on Tuesday, and we need to again and humbly appealing to the president or his advisors that maybe need to pick up some of our media clips, that Mr. President, by now you should have acknowledged that the Western Cape, in particular the Cape Flats, particular Cape Town, is under siege. The issue has been raised at the Oval just 2 months ago by the President of United States to say there's gang violence in the area. By now, Mr. President, please do us the honorable thing. Sign off, take up your responsibility, your legislative responsibility. Deploy SANDF as a force multiplier to the South African police services so that we can stabilize Cape Flats or broader Cape Town. Stabilize the area. Yes, they would.
But then just broadly speaking,
for a limited period.
Just broadly speaking, Mr. Isaacs, are we dealing with gang turf wars here, or is this violence more complex, perhaps linked to unemployment, substance abuse, or failures of service delivery?
I think if you look at violence, the current situation, we need to look at it as a multifaceted approach. Obviously, one of the areas economic circumstances that drives it. But the people that will be able to zoom into what is actually happening here is our intelligence. And just the mere fact is that we don't have an intelligence yet in this province, you know, to be able to pick up Is this truly gang violence? Is there sinister force, possibly sinister force operating? That's to correct people. And I think that is what we've been calling the SANDF to be deployed as a force multiplier throughout the Cape Flats, throughout what we call deemed your township areas, your Fulenis, your Nyangas, those type of areas, to stabilize the area. Over and above that, to establish a special probe to deal with gun violence. And once again, when I say gun violence, just last night, I've picked up today, just in a particular area, I'm not sure, I cannot get it now off quickly, where 2 AK-47s were found. So clearly there's something sinister happening.
And having worked, in the various, unfortunately we are out of time, but having worked in various community initiatives and in particular community safety, make me understand, Mr. Isaacs, how are gangs evolving? I mean, are they still about territory and drug markets, or are they becoming more and more organized and sophisticated with links to extortion, kidnapping, and even political influence? I mean, is there perhaps evidence that gangs are now recruiting younger members at alarming rates? And if so, what interventions are actually working to stop that pipeline?
I think that you put it correctly, that the recruitment is becoming younger. There's the extortion part that is happening. And then also we need to look at, there was a Judge Tulare report, or just Judge Tulare finding in 2023, which he said that gangs have infiltrated the South African police services in the Western Cape. You know, those are some of the issues that we also need to look into.
All right, Mr. Isaac, great chatting to you. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much.
Well, many thanks to Abie Isaacs, the chairperson of the Cape Flats Safety Forum, helping us unpack the deeper issues behind the surge in violent crime in Kraaifontein, from its roots in socio-economic neglect to the role of gangs and, of course, the ongoing calls for more policing resources in the crime hotspots.